We will call the meeting to order at 4:59 p.m. Who we got?
Scott Pryor, select board.
Scott Morler, select board.
Dan Webster, board member.
Matt Maxwell, town administrator.
Deb Tanguay, town clerk, town bookkeeper.
Planning commission.
Nathan Standish, road foreman. Any changes tonight? Good. Public comment, Izzy?
None.
Sell a tax dispute.
It's over.
Nice.
Excellent.
Way to go, Scott.
Thank you. So, I don't know if you guys read it in the paper or not, but I thought Mr. Roy did a good job writing that article. Dan and Matt and I went to the court hearing, the judges signed off on it as written, and I don't believe adjusted or added any language, right, Matt?
Correct.
Yep, so it's done, so we're good.
Very good.
Yep.
Yep, good.
Okay, next up, we have the emergency services contracts, plural. Scott and I met with town of Orleans to talk about their ambulance and doing some adjustment to maybe their fire services. We have just preliminary talks. The goal is to have the quickest response times to all of our residents. That's what we want.
Yeah,
So,
Right.
so right now we have split a split boundary so that Newport Fire and Orleans Fire both have contracts with us. Ambulance side of business, Newport has the entire town. So our contracts are coming due the 1st. So one of the things that I asked Matt to do is get our contracts, look at them, figure that out, and I wanted to know where that line was, that boundary. What Orleans Fire responds to, what Newport responds to. So we met with EJ Rowell and Marilyn Prue. Marilyn is on the board for the ambulance and EJ is the fire chief. And so EJ understood exactly what we're talking about. He took the town map and used mileage from his fire station and Newport's fire station to find that in between spot. And it's essentially Station Road from Martha's Station Road up across the interstate. And then
So anything right of the station road.
yeah, and the village and anything this way. Obviously, if you get into the village first, you're gonna get out here first, which is an expanded footprint from what it currently is. Okay. An ambulance is nothing. So in my opinion, if you're dividing things up for fire because of safety, it certainly should set true the same for an ambulance. So
Exactly the same.
yeah, exactly the same.
Primary.
So we had a good talk. They're open to anything and everything, Orleans. So that was a preliminary discussion. I believe that Matt and I should call Matt Newport now
yes, that will be the next step. Contact
and get
ambulance.
informal conversation like we did in Orleans with them. Try to get them both at the same time.
Right.
We can talk about that after the meeting, but
I believe Maryland plans at being at our next select board.
so
meeting.
Orleans is planning to come here for our next meeting to give us a formal presentation on that. But I think it's proper to get to Newport and let them know.
Yeah.
Probably next week, Matt.
Mhm.
We need to figure out our schedules to do that.
Do you need a motion to talk on our behalf?
Nope,
Just go-
no, we're just doing an informal discussion, yeah. Let them know, what we're thinking and we're gonna ask them, we already have contracts with them. So. Yeah, let's see where it goes.
Okay, very good. Next up, we have the road budget surplus. That's in your packet here.
Where am I finding that? In here?
You're looking at it, yeah.
Page number,
Six, I think it's number. And Dave Barlow's in the house if you wanna. Ask him any specifics.
Show me I'm not putting my finger on it. 1, 2, 3, 4.
is it,
Not 9,700,
Yeah, I think that's.
97, 93.
Yeah.
So that's generated from a conversation that Matt and I had, which you double checked now, right, Matt?
Yep.
So the way that works is, tell me when I'm wrong, Deb. General fund, if there's a general fund excess, that money gets turned back to the taxpayer. Highway fund excess does not get turned back.
Well, not so much turned back, which David can probably comment on this too. I believe it's supposed to be going to the voter approval for what they want to see have done with those funds, but we'll let David do his little comment.
Okay, I've never heard that part. I didn't see that anywhere.
Yeah, well, while you were off the board, Scott, the legislature changed the law. There's no longer a distinction between road funds and other general funds. So we have maintained accounting for them separately, which makes sense to do. But in terms of there being used to be a legal distinction that road funds, once road funds were always road funds. That's no longer the case.
So what then happens to excess funds at the conclusion of the fiscal year?
Whatever you guys decide to do with them, you could put them up. I mean, I think you need to look at the magnitude of them, but typically we push those as part of the other excess revenue, which is basically Casella money, and put that on agenda items warning for the town meeting for the citizens to vote on what to do with it. We've never distinctly notched out a category of, okay, this was excess funds from the budget last year that were not Casella money, because it is all Casella money.
town money though now, they gave it to
But-
us.
I mean, yeah, but it all came from the same place. It's the same fountain. So we haven't made a distinction in the past about, okay, this was budgeted funds that, and we were under budget. So for example, this past fiscal year, tuned into the right page there for the road fund, we were $9,793.09 under expended. What do you want to do? We haven't done that peculiar to the budget. We have done it in terms of the revenue side. We have this much leftover revenue. What do you want us to do with it? Here's our suggestions, and they were warrant items laid out.
Well, then my next question would be, where did we come out on the general fund?
So that's on page. Well, they scanned without page numbers. Okay, that's not helpful. It's a little bit above the road fund, fund 100.
Okay, right here.
We're on the actual column, which is the middle one, we're 1.4 million on the excess revenue side. 1,404, 169.72.
Right here.
Unaudited. Now, so that's why it's helpful to have the fiscal year 23 audit results back And then we can have what the auditor says are your real numbers. Hopefully something close to this. Usually it is.
And that's because of revenue we took in, right? That's why we have a surplus of that.
Yeah, well,
Well,
But-
it's both, yes, it's both revenue and we underspent the budget as well. So if you look up just one line, a couple lines from that gain loss on that budget sheet, you'll see total general fund expenditures budgeted $584,544. Actual $510,713.31.
okay, so this is one of the things that gives me headaches. We budgeted as a town to have that as an expense for general fund and an expense for highway. My question is, where did we end up? I don't want to know what we have for excess revenue, because that's not in your budget. It's the budget of expense, what we ended up on, what we have left over from what we asked the taxpayers to expend last year.
So you ask the taxpayers to expend on the general fund side $584,544.
Right.
73,000.
So it's,
You
Right.
actually spent $510,713.31.
right, so we've
Or
got,
87.37% of the budget.
We got roughly $74,000.
so you got about 74,000 there, and then you got another, so you got about $80,000, 80-some thousand dollars
That we didn't spend.
that you didn't spend. So my question is, if that's all inclusive now, which it didn't used to be, it used to only be highway. If it's all inclusive now, that's already been allocated for expenses. So the decisions that we ought make now is, do we want to extract that amount of money out and put it toward a specific issue or cause?
Yeah,
Or should we just? I understand what we've been doing, but we're not gonna do that anymore. Because we're gonna get ourselves budgeted down to zero. The only way you get yourself budgeted down to zero is you go through practice like this and say, what are you gonna do with that money? So that year comes out zero. Right?
I have 10 good ideas.
Well, you know, we're in fiscal year 24 now. This was fiscal year 23 money. So I
Right.
don't think you can reach back in time and pull it forward in fiscal year 24. I wouldn't try it, but it's a good auditor question, a good question for the attorney. If what you're proposing to do is take the excess from fiscal year 23 and then spend it in fiscal year 24, based
Well,
on
Well,
prior.
your current process actually does that. You're actually bringing that money forward because it's just sitting in your checkbook, and you're actually expending it because you haven't accounted for it as its own separate money from the previous year.
Sure we have,
He does.
right in front of you.
He gives it back to the town, to the voters at town meeting. That money goes back.
So that number,
It's counted as the surplus
it's counted in the lump.
in the lump. It's not counted.
It's not up on a standalone line.
No.
That's my point.
I guess my point would be, so what? This the same distinction. It's surplus money. That you need the taxpayer to tell you what, you make the suggestions to the taxpayer what they should vote for in a series of articles, but
Well, so what? Because
you
we're
could
gonna
make it.
budget. And if we don't know what those lines are, it's gonna be more difficult for us to create
But I don't
actual
think,
budgets.
I think for 2022, I think that number was a lot smaller. I don't think we had jack shit. I think we were short like 9,000 or 10,000. We were short, in 22, we were short 10 chiefs.
Well, the details there, you can look back through the different lines and see where it's over and under, and focusing only on the lines where there's big numbers involved. Kind of
Alright.
would reveal fairly quickly where they're significantly underspent and where they're significantly overspent. And the
Yeah.
detail is there.
I'll go figure out that answer.
Well, cause like just in the first one, like in legal fees and that stuff, different things were over. So basically, at this point in time, it's not feasible that we spend that money. That money goes back into the to the voters at town meeting.
That's my understanding. Leftover fiscal year 23 funds, whether they're from the budget or whether they're from excess revenues.
So I'm gonna have a discussion with our attorney
Yeah, and
and the auditor on this and delve into the details of it. And we'll figure out the legalities of it, and we'll make a decision on the legalities of it.
Right.
In the future, we can't put ourselves in that position.
No, we shouldn't have 1.4 million left over. We
You-
should have used that money during the year.
Can't have money left over.
And I think your thought, Scott, Marley, was going forward towards at the meetings, when you have your actual budget, you're seeing your current, you're seeing your budget, you're seeing where you're falling. You have Nate who comes and says, hey, we need 50 new tires for all the town trucks or whatever. You didn't budget enough there, but then you go down here in his summer, whatever portion, he has like 20,000 left over from there. Then you can go ahead and direct David, hey, let's go ahead and move 20,000 from summer because we're not gonna need it there. Put it into the maintenance for that, and then you got it where it's getting a little bit more aligned up
Absolutely.
to utilize it.
Budgets.
Yeah.
We just haven't been using budgets. We kind of put numbers in places and we're kind of close, but we really need to practice budgeting. And if we're gonna go to the cash basis, which we'll talk about in a minute, even more important.
But like what David's talking about, that's true, the same thing with the school. Because if you end up having to fall within a deficit, then next year, if you end up making, or I shouldn't say making, but you end up being on the positive side, like say this year we're in a deficit 30, next year we're in positive 60, you gotta automatically take 30 of that 60 to pay off the deficit from this year. You just can't end the year in a deficit budget. You gotta put that money back in.
Right, which is what we have to discuss and think about here. So when we're overspent, we can't be overspent. That money has to come there. I just don't know how you get through an audit without doing that stuff. Just doesn't even make sense. But, all right.
Okay, next up, we have the capital equipment plan. In your packet, there is what we currently know for capital equipment.
I made you guys one too here with just. This one is just the vehicle part of it, too. With VIN numbers and stuff. I'll give it to David too. I'll send you this in an email so you can add.
It's in your packet.
You still there, Dave?
Yeah.
The one that Scott
Bottom
gave
of
us.
that pile right there.
Bottom,
Yeah. Right there.
Still there.
I'll email you, one of these. Where I broke down just the equipment portion, anything with a serial number, or VIN number, or model number. I added it into the report, and also end of year miles, hours on the equipment, I added that. So we can keep that up every year. We would have, it'd be nice to track it, to keep the prior year's miles and then the next year's miles, and so then we can realize, okay, we consistently put 7,000 miles a year on this truck. We consistently put 500 and 600 hours on this loader. Then it'll help Nate tell us when we need to replace some equipment. like the question I asked you about the dump truck. You know, when I said, are you sure that's the dump truck that we got rid of? Because they were both 2015 internationals, the value is about the same. I'm thinking the one that on your list that you crossed off in yellow was probably the wrong one, because it was less expensive in the beginning, and 10-wheeler should cost more than the 6-wheeler. The value, there was no VIN number, and there's really was no way to know. And they both do have plows, so it's hard to tell, and I don't think it matters, but going forward, we'll know.
Sure, okay.
Because we probably won't buy 2 new ones in 1 year ever again, so you're not gonna always have like that conflict.
So you created this
Yeah.
year, and this is the one that we had, right?
These guys here.
Right?
Yeah, it was an email from that, I just copied it.
So
So,
I just printed out the stuff we got insurance on.
that's what this is.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
this. David
Gotcha.
has it in a PDF,
Gotcha.
and I'm gonna send it to him, and he can adjust the PDF, so he
Yeah.
can have. I obviously blocked off a whole bunch of stuff that he has that doesn't pertain to what I was trying to do.
Yep,
Because he has beginning values and, you know, depreciated values and that stuff, but I just wanted to get some VIN numbers on it
yep.
and some clarity to how wore out it is, what's it got for miles.
So this life thing, that's not right. I
That
mean,
wasn't me, that
that's-
was existing, so, right, that's not right.
Yeah, okay.
No, it still needs work. It's
Yeah.
a work in progress, but I think we can tweak it down, so. With the help of Nate and the reporting aspect of it, it would pretty much tell us. Hey, you guys need this next year, you need this, but you gotta budget this much money,
Perfect.
this is gonna, and
So this time of year in the fall, each year, we look at that, we have our conversations about what piece of equipment that we're looking at replacing this year, and we work it into that budget.
so what.
And there's
Nate-
there's a reasonable way to do that. It's not asking Nate.
So what Nate's brought to my attention is, in the past, the road department has not kept up with the equipment as far as it's getting old.
Yeah.
It's old and we need some new stuff. Now that we have 3 full-time people instead of, you know, 2.5 or 2 most of the time, they feel they can do more work. We shouldn't have to. We could save some money in the long run with the town by owning our equipment instead of leasing an excavator for this or that. Staying ahead of the curve, replacing culverts prior, you know, a year prior ahead of paving makes sense. In order to do culverts, Nate recommends we get a backhoe and one that's big enough that we don't need to rent an excavator. And we got a couple quotes, and the quote that was the most inexpensive was the case. It's the Beauregard one in your package. I think it's from Beauregard.
Yep.
I talked with him today. It's $156,550. The warranty on it, it looked like the premium warranty was the best warranty they had. It would keep it under warranty for 7 years. The only thing, it was a real good warranty. The only thing it doesn't include is them coming out to fix it. If you bring it to them and it's under warranty, they fix it. If they have to come here, it's $150 an hour drive charge. They're from Williston or Essex, so it's probably basically a $500 trip to send a guy to fix something under warranty.
It's a 2024, is it brand new? They haven't used it all.
Brand, it's not even in yet.
No,
It'll be in like 2-3 weeks.
so that's $156,550. The other thing that Nate requested is our 6-wheeler dump truck, plow truck that caught on fire last year.
Fired.
$36,000 worth of fire, should be replaced. I mean, it works, it functions. He recommends we keep it for a calcium truck. That way going forward, We're not putting the calcium in the back of the 1 ton, the 600 Ford and rusting that all to shit, and we're not ruining one of the newer dump trucks.
Plus you still have it, right? You
Yeah,
can use it in
all
a
sand
pinch.
with it, I mean, if you want all stone, we need to have an extra dump truck.
And if one broke in the winter, you could still plow with it if you
Right.
need be. And then if you look at the plan down here a little bit later, you see where in 2028, when he recommends we get another new 10-wheeler, we'll trade in the oldest 2015. And we trade that one in, and then the following year, we trade in the other 6-wheeler, that was the chloride truck, and then you just keep rotating them in a system where, you know, you're always having something new. So it's expensive in the beginning because the town didn't spend enough money soon enough.
Well, nothing would not be in warranty then either.
Well, put it this way, we bought 2015, we bought 2 dump trucks because they were B. So guess what? They're both equally as B. So we do have a new one. It's one of the flaws is in the capital equipment. We have $392,000. If we buy the backhoe now, we'll need to pay for it in October or the 1st of November. We order the new dump truck, no money's due until June, July, August of 2024. And then the balance will be due in December of 2024. So we don't have enough money in the capital equipment fund to do both, unless we ask for approval of the new dump truck at town meeting. And if they don't approve it, then we can cancel the order. Or we hold off on the backhoe, order the dump truck, rent an excavator for this year to get the culverts done and put on the budget for next year. You know, a backhoe and looks like the backhoe and the loader will be next year.
To me, the backhoe, if you're gonna go one or the other, backhoe would make sense. I mean, you guys are doing the roads, what makes more sense?
You really could try,
Oh, yeah,
that green truck's so pilot shit. Honestly, I mean, it runs good, but it's not, when it's gonna break again, you know what I mean?
And it's over a year out before we get a new truck. I mean, it's not gonna be here until December, so by a year, one whole winter more of plowing, that truck's even gonna be worse, right?
That's it runs good, it's just.
So you
If
can't
it's
just, you
fair.
can't just buy a truck now.
No,
These are ordered things. You gotta order them and go through that whole deal.
You can order it without any money down, and they're only allocated so many, so if the town didn't get it approved at town meeting, there's not gonna be any hard feelings. The truck's easy to sell, you know what I mean? It's not like. That's why they don't request a deposit.
So you're gonna go through this winter regardless of our decision,
we have to plow.
without a truck, without the new truck, either way.
Either way.
Yeah, we don't be here.
Right, so it makes sense to buy the backhoe and not spend rental equipment on an excavator and order the truck. That's what I think we should do.
Well, there's a lot of logic in backhoes. I mean, they're outdated in a lot of application, but for a town, you don't have to trailer it all the time, right? Every time we got an issue, you can
Well,
drive it.
anybody here, because we only got one class A driver. And it's a bucket loader rates, we're screwed.
Plus you can use it for the bucket, if the bucket,
Bucket loader
okay,
rates, Still load a truck this winter, or in the winters.
that's another good.
Right now, if our bucket loader, so that's the next thing on his list to replace is a new loader in 2025.
Cause it's old.
The other one's on here, if you look on this sheet, the other one's a 2014, it's got 4,200 hours. It's still decent enough, but how long do you wanna keep it?
Right.
Till it breaks? I
Or
think
it's not
after
worth
the,
anything.
Huh?
Or it becomes, so it's not worth anything.
That's the thing you give away.
so after a couple of years and you get these new things, I think once you get to 2026 and 2027, the expense side of it goes down. Um, But I think for purchase reasons, those are some things that should happen now.
Where would you order the truck? Did I miss that? Where would the truck come from?
That's,
You have it right here, this is it, this is the truck.
What's
The
that?
truck, yeah,
What's the
That's
ETG?
a loader.
that's the loader, so you have it, it's this,
So is,
this, like that's calcium.
and that's something you've done, you've done your research and you know what truck?
Well,
I
we
spec
priced,
the truck how I wanted it.
we priced that international, and I know, you get one for the trucks, you must have the one for the truck.
I don't know anything about trucks.
Oh, here it is,
They have like GMC.
there's the truck.
Yeah.
So this is what would be due,
So my question is, you know, a purchase like that, should we be getting 3 quotes from?
we did, we got,
We did, okay.
we did.
I got two.
We didn't get 3, we got this international one right here. From Alliance, where we just bought the other truck.
Yeah,
This international one was. It's on, is this page here, right here. 254,196.
What is the no? One says no beside it.
I didn't think that this is the one he doesn't.
Okay.
No, this is the one he wants. And then we added, it's $16,000 for the best warranty, but I think it's
and
worth.
that's a Freightliner,
7, yeah,
that's a better truck.
Yeah,
it's way better resale, I guess, what he said.
roughly 30,000 more trade in. An international, and it's actually cheaper and it's got a bigger engine. It's got a bigger transmission with bigger ends, heavy front end.
Heavier duty truck.
So what he told me is if we want this truck, just need to sign this, fax it over. We'll hear from him in July or August. He'll say your truck's in. He's gonna want to check for $151,200. Then he's gonna take $5,000 off because we paid for it. And then they're gonna bring it to where the body goes, Viking, and then Viking's gonna have it till sometime in December. And then he's gonna call us and we're gonna have to give him $92,500 or whatever that is more.
So the last time we bought a truck, we're still cleaning up, right?
We're not trading one in. Oh, we can talk about that too.
So we're not gonna run into that here, but
Yeah, next
can
time,
he tell us in writing that should we not be? Is there something that we can get that says if we don't get voter approval, that it doesn't cost us money to cancel?
I can do that.
I would get that,
I'll tell him the situation.
and I don't anticipate that voters will say no to it either, if we, you know, do all our work, and I mean, it's an obvious need. But
It would be a shame, like if you said, no, we don't, he'll give me something that we can cancel if the voters don't approve it, because
right,
it'd be a shame not to, if you
Right.
guys agree not to buy the backhoe. And we're not that short on both, but you know, if we have $392,000, if we buy the backhoe now, you know, with the warranty, it's about 165, so it leaves us about $130,000. We're about $125,000 short. And then if you add 125,000 to the $180,000 loaders is about 300,000 for next year. And then we're still gonna trade, the loader is gonna be traded in, so probably like 150, so about $300,000 for 2025. Would put the town in a good spot, and then 26, it kind of takes a break, because what we're gonna propose is renting a side mower next year and seeing how that works, renting one, because the tractor doesn't work.
Thanks. Broke around this year, just with so much weight hanging out the side of
It
it.
doesn't even look safe. So Matt has the information, Pete's rental has them, we rent them, they're $3,500 a week, plus they drop them off, it's 50 hours. He thinks 2 weeks of whack, 2 weeks the end of
I
June.
mean, as long as it's quicker than what we got, I don't see how it won't be. If you're looking at it here, instead of having your head through a piece of plexiglass, thing on the back and trying not to hit stuff.
And you can buy one of those for $140,000, but I don't know if it's worth it. I think if we figure it out so we can rent it for $20,000 a year, we don't ever buy that piece of equipment. But if they end up needing it for 6 weeks instead of 4, and it's $30,000 a year, then probably we want to buy one. Because what happens is this thing has twice the reach and twice the height. So the next thing you know, they're gonna be mowing all the trees, all the branches. So it's
Mailboxes.
3 times as fast, but they're mowing 3
Cars on
times,
the Belsky
3
Road.
times as much, so.
Alright, so I hear you saying logic says we should buy a backhoe. If there's a deal on one and we have the money sitting in a special fund that we love to spend. And we should and we should order that truck.
With him being okay with us canceling, we would cancel by March 10th, 8th, when's it, 3rd, 4th, I mean?
Yeah, right around there.
Or we just tell him, he'll know.
Oh,
He must work with every town.
yeah,
March 5th.
March 5th.
we'd let him know by March 6th. If we didn't get approval, but we should be able to get approval because we're only short. We would have them approve that over the loader next year. If they didn't approve the loader like you suggested and the truck, then we would just have to push the loader back a year. Because in case, if the loader did break, we'd have the new backhoe to load, so we wouldn't be totally screwed.
Yeah, it's winter, bro. I have nothing to load solid sand with at all.
That's the best pitch I've heard forever.
Oh, I got more after we approved.
You got more?
Yeah, it's too short though, easy. So we had two bids on these, a John Deere and the John Deere, who's that company?
What are we talking about now?
No, the backhoe.
Oh, the
This was
backhoe,
the least expensive of the 2 quotes.
I thought that was pretty cheap for brand new backhoe. Is it?
Almost $100,000 for this salary.
Yeah.
If you actually look at the full price, it's like $240,000 if you want it.
Not cheap.
And I did
I've
ask
been
him,
looking at tractors and that's pretty cheap.
I talked to Randy himself today and I did ask him, I said, well, if I get this approved today, do you think, when we took it this week, I said, would you think you could shave it down 156,000? He said, no. He wouldn't go there. He said, no, there's not much margin. He said, this is a good municipality price and there was no room. I said, I had to ask.
Lost that paper, all right. The back.
Here it is. What did I write on yours?
That's a good deal.
You have the,
That's a good deal
Warranty.
for
what is it?
that size
9100
backhoe, that brand new.
in the back.
Not even.
I mean, I've been
I think you should get
beating
it.
my head against the wall just for a tractor.
I think,
Because I
so
think you're probably gonna keep it 10 years.
was this tobacco that was ordered
Yeah,
for another town, which is why it's available in there
Correct.
and they want it gone?
no, it's not there, so it's gonna be
So they want it gone.
November
They don't want to
2nd.
sit on it.
And those things aren't like tractors. I mean, they're
No,
they're
these things are
different.
rugged.
Yeah,
They're
they're
like a
tough.
tractor.
They're, I used one, probably not this size, but I was amazed. It's more like a loader.
Yeah, that's a big one. It's 110 horse and it's got a 20-foot big. And big 20 feet down.
Yeah.
Or is there special funds?
Another one has a 4-foot ditch about
Oh, great.
John Deere.
This is how much the amount, this is it right here, that much. That's the special fund.
Deb? Any problem with buying a backhoe today?
I'm famous.
He laughed.
No, he's still there.
Is it?
He's just being,
What?
Oh, Mr. Treasurer speaking.
Want to buy a backhoe, Dave?
Whatever.
You don't care.
It makes sense
fixes
to
this
get
stuff?
three
Is that
guys
what
in
you're
it
talking
for
about?
$12. Why pay 10 grand to rent one? That's what it's gonna cost us to rent one for a month. We'll have this thing for 10 years.
Were you talking about the truck they don't come and get? Who fixes this stuff?
Yeah, the backhoe we gotta send.
The backhoe, worst case scenario is I have a CDL class A, I could drive the thing. If we have to bring it somewhere, I can tow it, I can take it.
Well, Josh has got plastic.
We don't have a trailer,
Case,
but we get one.
Colchester.
It shouldn't break.
We have one that started 2 years, and the only thing we ever take was a little
Big
salt,
trucks.
just move your hands.
Okay, I'm ready. You ready?
You making the motion?
Yeah. Then you can hold it against me later.
Add 9,100 to it, the total for the 6-year warranty. Gotta protect your insurance,
Are you serious?
dead serious.
Well, where's that?
It's the premium warranty plan.
It's on here.
This red one.
Is it on yours?
It's not on mine.
Is it on yours? I handwritten it?
9,100. Okay, so we'll do those separate. I would make a motion. The
I'll
town,
try to beat them up $1,500, so I'll allow, if you prove this up to a certain amount, I'll try to get $1,500 off.
all right. Make a motion, the town purchase a case 590 SN loader backhoe 2024 model year as quoted from Beauregards for an expense up to $156,550.
So move,
All those in favor?
aye,
Aye.
Good,
I would motion the town purchase the extra warranty for the said backhoe. Premier warranty for up to $9,100.
Second?
all those in favor?
Aye.
great. Good job,
What is
Dennis.
that tonight?
Want to do the truck?
The truck, that's a different deal. Truck,
This is the,
truck.
no, it's LCM, this one.
So the truck is, think through that again. So that's,
Probably gonna wanna motion it to order, to authorize me to order the truck for delivery next December, with no cancellation penalty if it doesn't get approved by brokers. Something like
for
that,
next fiscal year.
yeah.
That makes sense then? If I did it like that. You for this?
I'm listening to Nate on this one. I mean,
I think it's a need personally.
You can't be found on the roads with a 9-year-old dump truck. It would be 10 years old, but
So right now we have two dump trucks.
a new one,
We have the brand new one we just got, and then we got the one that burned up, but we fixed it. But that one is.
why is it
old.
junk?
Oh, the rusty, it's a good spare truck.
It's breaking down a lot.
I mean, if it breaks down, we're screwed.
Yeah.
In the winter, you know what I mean?
It's-
You want a truck that's gonna fly.
It's, how old is that truck now?
2015.
Yeah.
Doesn't have many miles on it, only 56,000 miles on it, but
They get eight steady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we undercoat those trucks? Those trucks even get undercoated?
Nate's gonna do better job maintaining them. He's gonna buy a paint gun.
Just say, if I was sandblast, you're gonna start sandblasting the framers and painting them each year. That's what I was in Barron.
Yeah.
My truck looks 20 years newer than.
Yeah.
Green truck. It's been neglected.
Okay, so Deb, once more from my brain, so if I motion this, right, for pending voter approval for next fiscal year,
But you're gonna be ordering it now, you're given authority to go ahead and place the order now, but the delivery will not be until next fiscal year.
So it's ordered because that's just the state of business. We have to get the thing coming. But the voters can say no and we can get out of it.
Yeah,
Right, I will let you know, I'll let Nat know tomorrow.
If not, well, next meeting, we'll just rescind the.
Right. Right,
Yep.
and
yeah,
I don't know if David had anything else that he wants to add.
we could spend that $86,000 surplus, we'd have money.
I was thinking about that, actually. It's not quite enough, though.
I know.
So I would motion that the town order. I don't see where I need to see.
That's a 20, everything about it, I own it.
Freight line 114. Okay, I'd make a motion, the town order. A new. Freightliner. 114 SD plus. Conventional chassis. Pending voter approval. At town meeting. For possession. For expense and possession of next fiscal year. With an agreement. From the company that there's a no loss
Cancellation,
cancellation.
second that,
All those in favor?
on the amount is,
The amount. We're gonna do this twice again, is $243,450.
second, all those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Now, quick question.
So the 5,000 on the warranty, right?
We can put the 5,000 towards the warranty, yep, so it'd be $11,000. The warranty is 16,000. For that truck.
Where's that?
he, yeah, keep it along, right?
That's not in the number that we just talked about.
No,
You doing the warranty now?
yeah,
Or is it?
The warranty is 16,000, but 5,000 of it is going toward the warranty.
right, we're gonna get a $5,000 rebate on the truck, we'll put toward the warranty, so we'll improve $11,000 total.
I'll say up to. I'd make a motion, the town, should the town purchase this truck. We would also go. Approve up to $16,000 for an extended warranty.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, quick thing,
All right,
Mr. Treasurer,
Yo,
hey, back to the backhaul. Because from my understanding that those funds are gonna be coming from the reserve account, so shouldn't they be making a motion that cites that the funds will be paid out from that reserve account for you to be able to transfer those funds, or is that,
yes, please.
So,
so that,
so backing up to the loader,
and then you should be doing the same thing for the truck,
No.
if some of those funds are coming from.
we're not paying
Okay.
anything for it, we don't have to pay anything.
it's all next year, voter
Okay, so
approval.
it'll be different.
Yeah.
Okay, but for the backhoe, that'll,
So what's my total number
For
for backhoe?
Total number
156,550 plus
9,100,
3,100.
Figure that out.
so 1,655, 650,
57.
How much?
165, 650.
It'll be that.
Promise?
Promise?
What was the warranty? 9,100?
Mm-hmm.
65,600
And 50.
and 50.
Make a motion that the funds to be expended for the purchase of the backhoe and its warranty. $165,650 be. expended from. What's the official account, Deb?
Scott had that too.
It's, capital equipment.
This capital equipment reserve fund.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Okay,
I think that's it, right, David?
Thanks. Good catch, Deb.
Just two more quick things. And then we'll move on. Two more quick things.
Oh.
We don't have to take a vote on this tonight, but I'm figured I'm gonna throw it out there. Calcium tank to buy it, $6,996, and he thinks it would be something good to have. That we should buy that, instead of rent it, lease it, make payments, just buy it. That's something we can talk about next meeting. The grader, we spent some time thinking about the grader, and it's got, what,
5,700 hours, I think now.
5,700 hours on the grader. By paving roads, we're using it less. We feel that we should pay, Nate reached out to Caterpillar, for $4,000, they come and they do a full service on it. I don't think it's ever been done. The plan is to try to keep the grader for at least 10 more years. We would like to spend $4,000 and have it fully serviced. I don't even know if that's anything he needs approval on here.
I don't think you need us to approve that. I think you just need to look at your budget and. If you can fit it in there, fit it in there. If you don't think it's going in for some reason, but we're so early in the year, it would be hard for you to kind of know that.
I've never even seen that.
I can help you with that.
Yeah, you guys just get done what you need to get done.
That's the next piece of machinery to have. If something's wrong and they can fix it now.
Fix it before it
It
breaks.
could be.
And they come right here.
Yeah. And then lastly, today, so the other day Nate brought up a lawnmower, town lawnmower to my shop to look at, to see the one that needed that wiring harness issue and whatever. So we're gonna fix it. It's not that big a deal. Jeff's using his own pickup truck with the trailer, his own trailer, moving town equipment around. I called North Point today to look into purchase of a vehicle, a town vehicle. Honestly, no, right here, tradesman, we need one. Tradesman, it's a pickup truck. It's the base model Dodge all-wheel drive, 6-cylinder, power windows, power locks, whatever, 46,000. Think you can get it for 43. I did the math with the lease, or just running it. It looks like we're gonna run it about 7,000 miles a year. The F600 that we currently own is 2 years and 4 months old. We've got 30,000 miles on it. So we put about 14,000 miles a year on it. I'm guessing 7,000 miles on that Ford. That's $150,000 lumber wagon truck. That gets 7 miles to the gallon. We're gonna save $3,000 a year just in the fuel difference between the two. I think we buy that truck for 46,000. We trade it after 4 or 5 years. It's only gonna have 30,000 miles on it. Probably cost the town about $5,000 a year. Save 3,000 in fuel. I think it probably cost $3,000 up front more. And I think that the F600 or whatever that's called would probably last an extra year or two, or if not, be in that much more better shape when you trade it in. You're not using it to run to South Bay. You're not using it to go check the roads. You're not using that 600. You're using this rental truck that cost you basically at the end of the day, probably not much. Something to think about.
Can we just table that one? and-
Yeah.
and I see you guys running around in that truck a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
I think like a Geo Metro would be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, how much gas would that take?
A Geo Metro. So even if you
I like it.
so I divided 14,000 miles divided by 7 miles to the gallon comes up to like 2,200 gallons of fuel. Half of that's 1,100 gallons for 7,000 miles. You do the math on the other truck that's gonna get 20 miles to the gallon. You do save about $3,000 a year in fuel. The truck's only $500 rent. If you leased it, it's like $400 a month, but it makes sense to buy it.
It seems like it does. I would just like a little time to think about that. Yeah, I'd like to think about how we. I was easy going on the backhoe because I think we need it. You know, this one, I don't know if we shouldn't wait for voters to tell us the answer to that, but I just have to think about that for myself.
The F600, you plow with that too, right?
Yeah, I guess he's a tire with it, which I gotta figure it out this week with the roots, because now we got so much tire, I don't know if that's big enough to.
That's what I've been waiting for, because that'll be the next thing.
I think eventually we're gonna need another 6-wheeler in
Yeah.
the long run.
So if you had a regular
You're gonna
truck,
put 2 trucks on the salt eventually or something.
yeah, so eventually we probably don't have an F550. We just have a runaround truck and another 6-wheel, right?
Probably half and half of tire, dirt, we get some of them, we got 3 trucks, so. Tire obviously.
Yeah, let's
It's gonna
just.
be a long run, right?
But that's it, we'll table it, so they're just
For right now.
food for thought, we'll bring it up next meeting.
David, you had something?
OBE. Thanks.
Maybe we can get an electric pickup. It might be a rebate for that.
There
Why
you go.
not? The Tesla one.
Okay, next up we have,
Ford makes a nice electric pickup, commercial use. Costs
So-
about 45K.
Very good.
Thank you guys
Thanks.
for
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
keep
you too.
working on it.
all of the work that you guys have just done is remarkable. It's something that needed.
We gotta keep working on it, but yeah.
okay, community center cleaning services, it's out in the paper, I'm getting things in, deadline's October 6th. I'm gonna haul the garbage out of here this week and scrub the toilets. Hopefully, you guys can approve somebody next meeting
So you've got people, so your deadline is
Friday,
this Friday. And you've got some interest already.
correct?
So have you talked with them and reached out to those people? Yeah, how are you doing this? You're gonna wait and do it all at the same time, or?
Well, I send them our RFP.
Yeah.
And they send me back a bid price, and I'll give you guys the prices and you can decide,
So just go off on that and,
we will.
okay.
Um,
And you're just taking care of any emergent,
yeah, like I said, I'm gonna clean the toilets this week and I'll haul all the trash out of here.
okay,
So it's, and if anything needs vacuuming, I can do that too, so.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Nemrick administration.
That was an issue we talked about last meeting, right? So that, okay. So that for me is a town administrator duty. Good blank stare.
No, I'm just, my wheels are turning.
So. I know David and I don't totally agree on whether or not he's an employee or an official, but I think I'm right. So our town treasurer currently was appointed by the board because the voters provided the board the authority to do that. That does not make that human being an employee. He is the town treasurer. He has all the responsibilities and is accountable to all the statutes of that office. He's not our employee. I've talked with our attorney about it. I've talked to the LCT about it. I've thought about it with common sense. That's the way it is. We do have the authority to remove him from that office in the event that we would really have to do that. Not sort of as an employee issue, but something big, right? It was something that is new to Vermont that came from embezzlement cases. statutory responsibilities that a person was just not fulfilling that job, and the town just couldn't bear to wait for a whole potential election cycle to come back around for the town to make the decision. That's why the legislature made that adjustment so that the town could vote for its select board to have the authority to do that. So we have exercised that, but that doesn't mean he's an employee. I would like to keep these lines very, very clear, especially with our history, on who is responsible for what and how a select board thinks about its engagements with those people. We have a town administrator. One of the reasons that we have a town administrator that we didn't historically have is for these types of purposes. He is an employee. He works directly for the board as an employee. When we have our authority, which is what the NEMRIC administration is, that's our responsibility. I think you want to keep that very close to home, not a personality driven issue. It's an employee accountability issue. It's for that person. It's not for other people. Even though I understand some of the reasons why that was done, I think we're in a good spot to move it back to that office. And that's what I would do. It has nothing to do with the current performance. It has nothing to do with how it got there in the first place. I think I get that. It's the fact that you have an opportunity to move it back now, and you should.
So basically what you're saying is you're suggesting that the board give the admin rights to NEMRIC to the town administrator, and then from there, we're gonna authorize the town administrator to give the town treasurer admin rights, but not really admin rights.
All of them have their own, so Deb can speak to this better than I can. The town clerk has to work in number. She has certain modules that she has access to, just like the town treasurer will, just like that job, assessor's job.
Yeah.
Just like a town administrator, but the
Right, the control stays with the board.
Yeah.
David, would you like to give us a little thought on that?
Sure, no, that'd be fine. There's just the technical term would be called least privileges. So any user on NEMRIC would have the smallest set of privileges needed to do their job, period. It's been a point of contention in the past between me and the assessors, but it remains least privileges. So there is the NEMRIC's administrative control is primitive, to say the least, but yeah, we can transfer it.
We need a motion to change this?
Yeah, we would motion that, and we would need to memorialize that decision in a letter to NEMRIC, I would think. Right?
I don't think so.
Yes, the NEMRIC will, if they don't demand the letter, then shame on them, but it should be done by letter. Yes, they will have to act over the phone, of course, and to do some changes, but they should want written authorization from the board.
And your auditor would want to see that.
Yeah, you gave it before when you made me the administrator. It was a written letter from the board.
Yeah. Do you want me to make a motion? So I would make the motion that the NEMRIC administrative rights be transferred from the town treasurer, David Barlow, to the town administrator, Matt Maxwell. We will Max.
I like that.
Mad Max by,
We can do the letter.
yeah, so David's you guys are gonna make that happen, and we're gonna send Nemrick a letter, and they're gonna get involved, and we're gonna get it to the accountant and
Yep.
make it all.
I'll type up a letter for you guys to
I'll
sign.
second the motion.
All those in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
Okay. very
Thanks,
good.
Dave.
Thanks, David. Next up is town accounting.
Okay, why do we do that? Dealt with a lot here tonight, town accountant. Oh, cash.
Versus accrual.
Okay, so I called and spoke with our new auditor. Can't remember his name.
Correct?
Yep,
Rick Brigham.
yep. Had a nice conversation with him on the phone. We talked about a number of things, a little bit of history with Coventry, some of the current things. I talked to him about my thoughts, where the board is heading after the last few discussions we've had in meetings around that of the special funds. If he had any thoughts or opinions on that, he said basically that we were heading in the right place. He was gonna be making a lot of suggestions. One of them was gonna be he would like all that in one fund. We talked about there just not being any funds anyway. We talked about cash versus accrual. We're currently accrual basis accounting, right, Doug? Tell me when I'm wrong.
Modified accrual, but yes,
What's that?
modified accrual.
Yeah. He was gonna be recommending we go to cash. That's my own opinion also, so. Fun to talk to people you agree with. One of the things that we talked about when we talked about that was our discussions around, I think we talked about that first, which was the 4 Casella checks we got. That would then obviously get adjusted. And he agrees with that. It's a bunch of work for him and for David, which he would help deal with that. We got to the point where he asked, do you want to do it this year or do you want to wait and do it next year? I said, I would like to do it this year. Is there any reason that we don't or can't or shouldn't? And he said, not really, other than that you're kind of already in it and we would just take about, that much more time to back into last year. That's how he has to do that. But whether you do it this year or wait till next year, it's the same really amount of work. So with that discussion, he asked, go back to your meeting today, have the conversation. If the group wants to do that and go to change to the cash accounting system now, we need to say that clearly, and then we need to direct him to do that work, which he wouldn't normally be doing for us in his current.
He can do it prior to stepping in.
Well, right now that Deb knows how to do this, I don't, but right now with the audit that he's providing us, he wouldn't be doing a lot of those functions. But if we ask him to do that, he has to do a bunch of functions going backwards in order to change the system over. And it's a little more time. It's more time, it's more work. And so he would then need to, so he stopped. He said, okay, if you guys really think you're gonna do that, I said, I'm pretty sure I want to do that. So we gotta talk to the board and see if there's agreement to that. And if we do, he said, okay, then I'm gonna stop, which was about 10 days ago, and not do any more work, because if you want me to do that, then I don't want to undo stuff.
So by doing that, what you're saying also is, what I think you're trying to say is the way that we are trying possibly to go forward and make our budget and do our accounting and spending the Casella checks to help fund our way through and not end up with 1.4 million extra dollars because we got this money into our budget during the year and we're gonna spend it in a planned manner.
Yeah.
It's easier to be in cash.
You kind of have to be.
Yep.
The most basic way that I have in my mind on the differences of those is a cash system is recorded when you receive the cash, when you physically receive or spend that cash, that's when it's recorded for your documentation. In an accrual system, modified accrual system that we're in now, a good example is that last check that we get, that it's earned in the year, the fiscal year you just stopped, but you don't receive it until later. And so it's very difficult.
Right, if we can get the check in July and have it be for,
That'll be the first check of
Yeah.
the year, not the fourth of the previous.
makes sense.
Yeah.
It seems to make sense
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, and apparently he was already ready to recommend that we do that anyway. It's just now that we're, kind of talking the same language, if,
Well, for your budgeting purposes, when you get that fourth check in March,
yeah,
now you're gonna know, okay, we're not gonna be receiving any more money for
Exactly.
this fiscal period. We have 400,000, we have 350, we have whatever.
right,
You know what you're dealing with versus still having that last little check in July
Yeah.
that could be 150 more than you were anticipated, where you're getting those fluctuations.
This year will be the
Where
trickiest one to,
you can streamline,
this year will be one of the trickiest ones to end.
he fixes that,
yeah.
Okay.
but we can't fix it, but he knows how to do that, right, Debbie? He works you back into the last
Oh, we
year,
can fix it. We just throw it all as surplus money and back
No.
in.
so,
I agree with that.
I don't know that we need to motion that, do we, Deb? We just need to,
What, that you're going to cash?
yeah, I mean,
Oh, no,
that's,
it doesn't have to look, because you want that on your
Okay.
town records one, but you also need to have that, probably David should be, you are recording that with David giving that to the auditor that, yes, we are gonna be cash accounting.
okay,
No, you definitely want that.
That makes perfect sense to me.
kind of common sense.
Yeah.
It is to me. Deb,
Makes sense. Yeah, no, I'm good with
you're
that.
good, jumping up and down saying, don't do it.
It's Mr. Treasurer you want to talk to.
It's work for him, so he's gonna have a opinion.
I don't think.
I just
he-
caution, it doesn't, I don't think it solves the world of problems that you think it does, but okay. I mean, it's fine. You're talking about making fiscal year 24 into a cash basis accounting. Is that correct? The fiscal year we're in right now.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay. I don't really know what's involved in executing that, so I can't advise on how long it'll take.
yeah, that's what Rick.
Yeah.
Will. So, so I'll go ahead and motion this in a minute. We'll get through that piece. The piece after that is I will call Rick back and let him know that we've done that. And then he will guide us from there and tell us, how much money that just cost us.
I mean, you should
Because
just have Matt do an email, or maybe you guys could probably send an email, I'm thinking to David,
Yep,
giving him the authority. I mean, you can still call Rick.
Yeah.
But giving David the authority, we're transferring over to cash accounting for the town.
Yep.
Please go ahead and advise the auditor so that he is aware, just so that the auditor could have some kind of paper trail
Gotcha.
notification.
Yep.
Not just a verbal,
gotcha. Perfect.
there should be a letter.
Yep. Yep. Okay, so Matt and I will do that.
Okay.
So I will motion that the town's financial accounting for the fiscal year that we're in be adjusted from an accrual basis system to a cash basis system.
Second.
All those in favor?
Like,
Aye.
Good,
David would probably want that to be modified accrual. Because there's a difference between modified accrual and accrual.
right,
she is right, she's always right.
Not her first rodeo, look at the
So
awards.
modify my words to
modify your words.
modified accrual.
Got it. Okay, very good. Nabelski Road towing.
Yeah, Max, so how come you haven't fixed that yet?
There's a car in the road on Nabelski Road. Orleans County Sheriff will not tow it at the owner's expense because 9 times out of 10, they get left with the bill. So they won't do it.
So that's a risky thing right there.
I know,
Well, I think what we should do is have it towed right over to here. In this lot, and send whoever, can we send the
we're
owner
up to the garage.
or tow it up to the garage, keep it, send them a certified letter and say it's gonna be. It's in 30 days, it's gonna be
Scrap.
recycled.
Why
So,
can't you still just have a towing company come tow it? I mean, if it's a halfway decent vehicle.
no,
It's
If
not,
they have it within a certain amount of. Okay.
so here's the history to this. The history is there was a camper parked in the street.
that's been moved.
Matt engaged with the sheriff's department.
Mhm.
Roundabout, somehow, the camper was moved. The car was not. There was a house fire. The car is burned. The owner of the car is not the owner of the camper or the residence. It's another person, and that person hasn't been willing to just come back and get the scorched car, which still remains in the road. Property owners aren't taking responsibility for it and don't want it on their property. So it's where you're at. Police aren't gonna tow it because of they're getting left with
Right.
holding the bag. We don't even know who owns it.
Can't the police tell you?
Nobody that's there, nobody's living in that house right
Can
there.
they give us the last registered?
So I would say, why don't we call the police back and say,
Based on-
you need to, would you go up there and figure out who this car belongs to
Mhm.
and communicate with them that they have to move it and see where that goes with a police interaction? And then we can make a decision.
And
That seems like the best thing to do.
if not, and the police won't, or don't get anywhere, they need to tell us who the old owner was and an address where we can mail a letter, then we'll move it,
Exactly.
and we'll store it. Chances are
Then we know who we can chase.
there'll never be any backlash from junking the car, but you never know.
Or we could, let's find out who owns that car. We can tow it to their residence.
Yep.
Yeah, I got AAA, I got 2 or 3 tows left.
I mean, we can work something out. We don't wanna get stuck with driving around this car in our parking lot either.
No. Okay, I'll find out.
So, yeah, find out who
One thing
owns
you
it.
want to keep in mind too, you do have your town constable, you do have your second town constable. Where some of these individuals actually have the authority to be able to go ahead and handle some of these resolutions as well. I mean, I think your first going with the sheriff, yes, would be your first bout because somebody's been really
And we'll
listening
give
to
it
them.
to Thompson.
But you've got your constables that we really don't utilize them per their
Yep.
statute for what services they are there for.
Yeah, okay.
And just to keep that in mind for
Yeah.
some of this other stuff.
Yeah, thanks for that info, that's great. Yep.
You're going to work.
Okay, any other business
One quick thing,
before the board?
what we should have followed up with was after we approved the backhoe culverts. We have, what's the other fund we can buy culverts from?
But where do you have your road?
Road
Road
and
and infrastructure.
Yeah,
Right, it's $12,876.36 to the farm yard store. They were the cheapest on the 22 18-inch culverts that we need on the Glen Road and on Cleveland Road that they'd like to replace prior to paving. And I think by ordering them in bulk, Nate had called Derby, I forget the name, the guy from Derby, town, where he gets his culverts, because he said they get them a lot cheaper than the farmyard store, and Nate called that guy,
It was more.
whoever that was. It was way more, it was like 17,000 versus 12,
So $5,000 more.
it was like $5,000 more. So I don't know how long these take to get in, but I think we should have them as soon as the backhoe's ready.
So this is another one of those, we just wanna order them.
I think we just want to order them. He can just, well, but I think it shouldn't come out of his budget. It should come out of
Road infrastructure.
urban infrastructure.
Here's plenty.
Right, Dave? Yeah,
Or last year's excess.
that's what we talked about, but apparently we don't
I'll
have.
make some calls.
Don't be spending last year's money. I'm telling
All
you. You got a reserve fund for that. It's a
So-
good opportunity for me to tell you, though, that I've been putting your reserve fund funds into CDs for your
Good.
last.
Perfect.
That 1.4
Make the
million,
money.
I hope. That'll buy the culverts in 2 weeks. So
Yeah,
do
well,
we-
it's tied up at the moment. We're doing 6-monthers. It'll be available in April.
They ordered, so just order them.
Order them, and then when you pay the
Yeah.
bill, you'll pay it out of.
Well, if it's supposed to be paid out of that reserve account, then a motion has to be made to pay it out of that reserve account.
I wanna
Otherwise.
think
it's
about
going to
that.
Out of the general.
All right,
So I think we should just order them.
we'll order it. We'll
And
we'll
then-
discuss this. So you'll tell Nate to order these?
Yeah.
Okay. Figure it out later. Thanks. I'll tell him too.
Okay, approval of minutes from September 18th.
I've already read them.
I read them too.
You did not.
I did.
Just, can I ask a question
Of course, David.
about
Yeah.
what just happened? You're ordering something, but we're not. We're gonna pay for it from where?
Well, we don't know, because Scott's gonna talk to the auditor.
I wanna think about a couple of different moving parts on where to pay for that.
Okay,
There, how long do those take?
I have no idea. I don't think they take more than a week or two.
Yeah, so,
And I know that we have an account anyways, they're not gonna bill us till the end of October, right?
yeah,
Yeah, so we'll have had it.
we got plenty of time.
Oh, we're still in other business?
Nope, we're out of the business.
Hey,
We're approving the minutes.
Thank you.
Hey, I have something for the business.
Well, how come you didn't say something?
Gone.
Well, you didn't ask.
What is it?
No, my only piece I have left is just for you folks to be aware, our townkeeper has been going out. And we have our first tickets that have been issued, and my time being here as town clerk, I've never had to deal with that, and I'm thinking none of you guys on the board has had to deal with that.
The ticket, what's the ticket for?
For unregistered
For
dogs.
not registering their dogs.
Oh,
So I'll have more information with you as far as how this process is gonna work. Renee just sort of told me today, she gave me my summary of who she's been out to see and who's been ticketed. So I just need to find out a little bit more information with this information for you guys. But I'm not quite sure how that relates as far as like to the courts, and if it does go to the courts, APM, that would fall either on Renee or on the town constable to end up going on behalf of the town if it does leave the court. But I'll get more information, but just so that you're aware, everything's not process in place, and everything's doing what we're asking her to do, so.
Is she giving the tickets or is this sent?
No, she's given the tickets. If he is actually seeing them in person, she's given to them in person, but we have two residents who seem to be avoiding or not answering the door. So she said we can actually go ahead and just mail those tickets, so we are gonna be doing that sort of on mail.
Certified.
So at least they are being presented.
Saturday, maybe.
What's that?
I said, there's some dogs over there, me.
Thanks, Deb.
Should that,
He said, yeah.
where we go with legal on that?
we should pay the fees for them, it'd be done, it'd be cheaper.
Well,
No,
if the action gets us in court
Yeah,
and if we're sending certified letters, you probably ought to send a copy of that certified letter to our attorney.
Okay,
And probably if we're issuing a ticket, that should probably be copied to our attorney too.
okay.
Cause that's gonna potentially be a civil, potentially, right, it can go through the civil process. And so, you know, he's gonna wanna start file and potentially be ready to answer questions, and it's just not totally out of the blue, so.
I mean, one piece I'm gonna also investigate is just check with some of the other towns to see what do they do or what is
Yeah.
their normal process once it gets to this point. Just so we can sort of have a little bit of a gameplay
Yep,
to see what we need to do and if we want to tweak it or whatever, because they may not even deal or involve their attorney with any of this stuff, and maybe it's just on the local level and you don't incur those additional fees, or maybe they do. But that'll be something that you folks can decide.
so any tickets that have been issued to date, you should get a copy of them to the town administrator. Matt,
And they will be giving those to me.
yep, Matt, you should then communicate with our attorney on each one of those.
Got it.
And just have him
Yep.
knowledgeable.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the select board meeting of Monday, September 18, 2023, as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Warrants,
So the $7,000 to the fire district, that was part of the first part of the 30,000 we approved.
35.
Did they start? That didn't look like anything to do with metering.
No, those are all having to do with the meter, and you've got some of the different parts with connection of the meter. And I think some of that last invoice was actually, part of the equipment that I would be using, that's gonna be for the meter readings. Which technically, it's basically right
Show
now,
me, did I miss it?
and all I'm gonna have to do is push the button.
And it'll,
And it's gonna go out and have to scan all the meters, and Pedro does believe that it should be able to capture every one. If not, then possibly maybe like some of the really far out ones, there may be just a few.
You'll
that
read
we
those
have
when you
to go
read.
to.
power meeting, you'll use the water meter.
I'm gonna start reading.
Yeah.
No charge.
Oh, nice.
Well, the towns anyway. I told you he'd wanna know.
But, yeah, so no, that's part of the 35,000. And like I mentioned, you folks did not say, bring in the CFD 35,000, here, take it, go do it. You are, whenever you start incurring invoices, we've paid them, we're providing the documentation to you. We've got the invoice, we have our check that's cleared today, we're just requesting the reimbursement up to, like we reached the 35.
That money needs to be spent, is it by this December or the next December?
I don't really think that wasn't earmarked, but we had a meeting today, and in that meeting, Dom will be communicating with Pedro that we want that money spent before the end of this fiscal year. We want this project done, as much as we want that money spent.
Can you let us know, Deb, where we're at with that obligation? How far into it we are, what we have left,
For the ARPA,
yeah.
I believe our first round, I think you guys did 9,000 or 10,000. And this one was what, 7? So I think you're about 20-ish. So you got about 15 left.
And you're pushing, your group is pushing to have that done by the end of the calendar.
Yeah, by this year. But no, a specific date was not established when it had to be done. For us, well, I can say for us, for the fire district, the issue has been getting the meters. So they just barely got the last
So,
one in our vendor.
What was the question? Is there rules from the feds?
We gave the money away, but I guess we already gave the money, but we're not holding the money. We gave the whole amount. No, we're holding the money. Cause we have a timeline when we need to disperse that.
He's correct.
Yeah, and I think it's this December 24, December
So
23 or 4. We
There-
might need to
No,
keep,
you guys have still got a ways. You just had to disclose to them what you're anticipating.
But we, how it was gonna be
that money
obligated,
for.
it didn't have to actually be.
But it doesn't have to be spent until, God, I don't even think not till 2025. I think.
It's a couple of years.
or accounting.
oh, you get rid of that.
Oh, Mr. Barlow's gonna talk to you.
He knows.
Yeah, please don't wait this long, but they have to be obligated by December 31st, 2024, which means that you've decided where you're gonna spend them, obligated, and then
So-
actually spent by December 31st, 2026. You've obligated almost all of it. You got about 3,000 left to obligate.
Want to use it towards the culverts and then the rest,
Let's do it next meeting.
be done with it, right?
Yeah, get us in that number in right to the penny, Dave, next meeting and we'll spend it for you.
Okay, well, it's gonna, okay, if we're gonna sort out what happens with the fire district, that'll be necessary first, but okay.
No,
We're talking about the balance of,
ARPA,
I'll explain it to you.
okay,
All right, adjourn us.
Make motion to adjourn?
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Nice job, gentlemen. We are adjourned.